It's interesting that I'm a high school science teacher and I'm in front of students all the time. So sometimes it's a little odd when I have adults that I'm talking to. So it's always a little strange. Listening to the other speakers always reminds me of the scientific method. They talk about making mistakes, having successes, trying things. Now, as a high school science teacher, or just as a science person, I try to live that scientific method. In fact, I try to use that to inspire my students. And in fact, I do it at home. The name of our ranch is called Islagi Ranch, which is short for, it seems like a good idea. and just like starting a ranch or any other venture, it always starts with an idea. And one day after watching a movie several times during the day about how food is made in America and the type of food that we eat, I did the scientific method thing and I asked, what does it take to raise healthy food? And I turned to Traci and I said, what do you think about we raise cows? And her response was, it seems like a good idea. And then we started. And it seems like so many things in my life start out as a good idea, as a question, and I go from there. And that's what I hope to inspire in my students, and hopefully inspire in you as well with what I have here. Now, my talk is going to be about creativity, community, and makerspace, whatever that thing, a makerspace is. I'll get into that later. But I want to assert that we all are conceived in creativity. We grow moment by moment amidst excitement. From that time, we are a single cell, growing, dividing, multiplying. I've never figured that out, why biologists call it multiplying and dividing. But we grow. And outside of the womb, the entire world is focused on us. They're waiting for us to arrive. They start picking out colors. They start building a baby's room. This whole industry is revolving around something that's coming. And that's exciting. And when we are born, we are launched into an environment of growth. We get stimulated from all directions, from sight, smell, sounds, touch, tastes. We're surrounded by people who love us, who bring us every experience we can ever have, or so we think. So we're bathed in that. And as we grow from infancy into being a toddler and even larger than that, we learn a series of steps. Our outside world, we need to learn about. So we learn how to color. We don't care about staying within the lines. We just put color on paper. And then we've made something after we've learned how to use that crayon. And then as soon as we make it, we run to our parents and show it off. And there lies in the thing that makes us most joyful. Our parents look at it and say, that is fantastic. And they put it on the fridge. And we can see it. And then we go do it again. We learn something new. We make something with that new knowledge. And then we go show it off. That's a fantastic thing. We get the spotlight on us. We get to grow and expand and just reach out beyond ourselves. And that becomes something that can power us for our entire life. Now, through that growth, this creative growth, there are very few limits on us. We get to explore. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no, like I said, coloring between the lines. There is just doing and exploring. But as we age, we enter into a system, and that system confines us a little bit. We still learn, make, and show, but in the educational system in the United States or around the world, there are guides. We learn to stand in line, to wait our turn, to make things more efficient. We learn that we need to sit in a chair so that we can get work done and then go have recess and then blow off some of that energy and keep going. We learn that there are times that we need to color within the lines. In fact, as a high school teacher, I had to do an evaluation on one of my students, and it just stopped me when I was reading in fine motor skills, colors and stays within lines. And it just struck me as like, is that a goal, that we stay within the lines? So we get this new type of growth that it starts off as creative limitations where we need to stay within the lines, where we show off our skills to do something specific. We draw a circle and it looks less like an oval than a square, or whatever it looks like. We try to do that in accordance to a set of rules and some expectations. And as we progress through middle school into high school, this creative specialization starts, where not only are we taught to color within the lines, they give us graphs and staff sheets and formulas that we need to be creative with. And so we start running into creative specialization, is what I call it. Now, when we associate creativity with doing things, being interesting, learning new, exploring ourselves, we usually think of art, music, ceramics. And that kind of becomes our high school experience. If you want to do art, you need to do music, art, which is like painting and drawing, and then ceramics. Everything else is kind of left to science. You learn science, and you learn English, and you learn a foreign language. But if you want to be creative, that's where it is. My high school experience, and probably much like yours, we had shop class. My favorite was electronics. I took electronics as a freshman. I wasn't supposed to, but luckily my cousin-in-law was the electronics teacher, so I took electronics. And that wasn't my first experience in electronics. I'd already been building things. I was duplicating the projects that the high school students were doing while I was still in middle school. And they also taught drafting. They taught metalwork, woodwork, auto mechanics. But sadly, those classes are gone. With all of our state testing and everything that we need to do to prove as educators that we are teaching, you can't test how to rebuild a carburetor. You can't test how to troubleshoot an electronic device. You can't test how to make a bowl on a lathe. So those classes, slowly but surely, were removed. They've gone away. There's no test for that. And everything that we see today that we would like to teach our students, robotics, maybe electronics, the shop classes, those become extracurricular. We have teams and clubs like the Science Olympiad. I have groups of students that come to my classroom every lunch period but Mondays, that's my only lunch off, and every day after school to build stuff. These are the nerdy kids, just like me. They are the kids that want to explore. These are the kids that want to learn. They want to do. They want to learn. They want to make, and they want to show it off. And we do everything in my classroom. Some days we're making wooden swords and daggers. Some days we're making costumes from popular manga and anime shows. Some days we're making steampunk costumes. Other days we're planning how to make a drone, and we fly a drone around in the classroom. We do a lot of stuff, but it's all outside of the classroom. And that creativity needs to be encouraged. And I think that that's something that's missing from a lot of students, whether it's in middle school or high school. But as a community, and this is where we go from creativity to community, we can do this in the community if we can't get it done in our schools. Now, John Cleese, most of us have heard of John Cleese. When he was looking at education and creativity, ran across another TED Talk speaker. That is Sir Ken Robinson. He gave a TED Talk in 2006. To date, it is the most watched TED Talk. Now, this is 2014. It's been viewed millions of times. And in his writings, John Cleese discovered that creativity is undervalued and ignored in Western civilization, but specifically in our educational systems. We have dropped creativity by the wayside. In fact, when looking at one of Sir Ken Robinson's writings, we discover that we don't get the best out of our people, especially in the face of tremendous and often painful, punishing change. Could you imagine that everybody would have smartphones today? I couldn't imagine that when I was in high school. Yet, one of the things that we are asked to do as educators, we need to train our children what to do in society in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. One thing that I'm grateful for is we don't have flying cars yet, because I think that would be a disaster. I have a hard time staying inside the lines in a lane, let alone trying to figure out where I'm going to fly and if I'm going to park into somebody's office or on top of somebody's office. So those changes are mind-boggling. Those are changes we have to think about. What will society look like in 5 years? Am I prepared for it? No, I'm not. I know I'm not. I know that for a fact. Are my kids prepared for it? Not by a long shot. So we need to spend a lot more time teaching creativity so our kids can have the mental flexibility to imagine the future and build it, to create it, to master it, in fact. They are our future in many, many ways. Now, getting to the maker movement. This is something that's been bubbling through society for many years, and it's starting to come to the forefront of our society. In fact, our president hosted a maker fair. Now, a maker fair is an event where people who build stuff, whether it's costumes or robots or high-tech exo armor that you can use for super strength. That was at the White House, showing off what the future is going to be. And the maker movement uses a little bit more than just the learn, make, and show. It involves the teaching. So the slide that we have, the learn, the make, the show, the teaching, is not a linear progression. It's an idea. It's a shared idea for a community where you have somebody who is an expert in costume making will teach somebody who can't sew, teach them how to sew, how to design a costume. They will make something. They will show it off. They will act out a scene, whatever they will do. And then that person will start becoming an expert and in turn train somebody else. And then at the same time, there's somebody on this side that wants to learn electronics. So they learn how to make a circuit to have lights flash, or have what's called electroluminescent wires, that these are plastic wires that light up like a string, something that you would see on a screensaver perhaps. They build that, and they show it off. And the person who made the costume looks at it and says, that would be cool. I could put that in my costume. And now you have this collaboration where people start building grand projects, cross-curricular projects. And that's one of the big terms for education today. We need to get cross-curricular education going. Now, it's easy enough to say that we need makers, we need maker spaces, we need these things in our communities, and I believe that. Now, the nice thing about the maker movement and a maker space is that it's community-based. It's built by us, it's supplied by us, it's staffed by us. We financially support it. In fact, they operate very similar to a gym. Now, I don't necessarily like going to the gym because I get sweaty and tired afterwards. I smell bad and I need to take a shower. But if I could get a gym that instead of workout equipment, there was welding equipment, an electronics workbench, woodworking equipment, costuming and commercial sewing machines, and people to teach that, I'd much rather spend my money on that kind of a gym membership. And the nice thing about makerspaces, what they do inside the makerspace is determined entirely by the members. If they want to build costumes, they'll build costumes. If they want to do welding and build dune buggies and robots, they can do that because they direct what they build. They direct what they explore in. There are local experts, people who have lifelong experience in engineering and manufacturing. They are available to teach our youth, so we don't lose that knowledge and expertise. And it's public access. You don't have to buy a year-long membership. Maybe you just want to drop in and give it a try. People are welcome to do that. Now, of all the different things that we could do, all we need to do is make a list and talk to one another. What would you like to do? What could you build? What would you like to teach one of our youth? What would you like to teach one of our retirees? Maybe they want to learn something new. It's not limited to students. It's not limited to people with lots of time in their hands like retirees. It's unlimited. It's for everybody. And I believe that it should be in every community. And I'm building one. And that's my contribution to the community. I am building a makerspace for the Temecula Valley. And I have a student who's volunteered to come and show off a little bit of what he has made in the classroom, what I've helped students make, and answer questions about what goes on in that makerspace. And here are 3 websites you can go to. One is called CreatorSpace.us. That's our website. And I don't have a building for it yet. So when we talk about being outside of our comfort zone, I'm operating way outside of our comfort zone. But if you want to see some place where people can share what they build, what they create, go to Instructables.com. There's everything from food to robots. And if you want to learn more about the makerspace movement, please go to makerspace.com. It's a nonprofit. They have a list of makerspaces around the country. Thank you.